Hey, we are here for Feral but Sober, episode 16. I have with me today Trinity. I'm sending her the link now. I'm really excited. I've been planning this episode for a while. I've actually had a chance to get to know Trinity a little bit better than I do most of my guests because she's been dropping in my lives on TikTok and stuff. And so we've got to hang out a little bit. So that's kind of cool. I always like to, it's always fun to do episodes like with people that I know because it flows better. And all the stuff. So I think it's going to be a good time. She has a really cool story. She shared a piece of information last night on the live that I thought was really cool. And I don't want to give it away, but it's kind of in the title. So, hi, Kelly. I sent her the link. She should be joining. Kelly, I'm just going to let you know too that I'm doing like my actual podcast today. And so like it kind of TikTok's kind of a crappy view for you. So like, you'll be able to see me and I point the camera kind of a little bit at the computer some, but TikTok's kind of bad for this because I can't get a stream key. So, all right, Trinity, there you are. Trinity, she rushed to be with us today because she got called into work like last minute. So she still figured it out. Hi, Jason. All right, Trinity. So, I wish I let everybody know too. I have like TikToks up over here and Podbeans on my phone. So like if I'm not looking at you, I'm always still listening. And if I just like mumble, because sometimes I say hi, like when people pop into TikTok, just like keep talking.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You're still a little scratchy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I need to hook my other microphone. I have like a big podcasting microphone like that hangs on an arm over here and I just never use it. But so what I said though, I said if I have screens like all over the place, so like if I'm not looking at the camera, I am still, and if I like mumble, sometimes I'll like say hi to people that pop into TikTok and stuff. I try to not like talk into the microphone when I do it. So like if you kind of see me lean aside, like that's why. But like don't, I try to always tell people so that like you don't stop your story, like just kind of keep talking. If I am like asking you something, I'm sure that you hear me.
Okay.
I was kind of just getting ready to tell people, I said, you haven't really, first off, I really am happy to do this episode because we've got to kind of get to know each other. And, that's always fun, like, because you've popped into the lives. And I said that you shared something with us last night that it was really cool. We were talking about, how people trust us and how it's like, so, I don't know, like it feels so good to finally be trusted. And also like, weird and nervous and all the feelings that we feel about it. But we were talking about the things, how people show that they trust us. And another friend of ours, their mother had let them use their credit card, which was like a huge deal because, mother had been the victim of some of their, what does he call it? He calls it something, knuckleheadedness or something. He has a term for it, but so mother was the victim of that. So she trusted him. So that was huge for him. But Trinity then shares with us that she got to drive a police car. She works for the city. And she was taking it to the mechanic, no big deal. But like, how cool is that, guys? Like, can any of us see ourselves driving? And especially in our addiction, like, did you ever think you would be driving a police car without the cops chasing behind you? Like,
We're worried about somebody calling the cops and being like, "Hey, they stole that car. You know they did."
there's some girl, she looks like a drug addict.
Yes.
The stuff. Like, not that I think you look like a drug addict. I just, me.
I definitely did. I definitely did back in the day, for sure.
yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. That's something me and James are talking about again last night about just, I was talking about how we didn't take care of ourselves in our addiction. And I was just talking about like at one time my hair was like all napping matted because I just always put it up until a hair went on top of my head and never like brushed it or washed it. Like ever. And it was bad. It got bad for a while. And, still here you are running around thinking that you look good.
Yes.
I was like no eyebrows with a mat on the back of my head. Like, I know I'm hotter than you. Yeah.
Right,
Really, I needed
right.
to go lay down and eat a cheeseburger probably, but
Yes.
oh,
Sandwich and a nap.
yeah. So, if you wanted to just go ahead and share a little bit, Trinity's going to share some of her journey with us, and then we're just going to kind of talk. Anybody, as always, you guys are free to comment along the way if we have any questions for Trinity, anything like that.
All right. My name is Trinity, and I am in recovery from all different kinds of things: drinking, drugs, people pleasing. The list goes on and on and on. I really had a really good childhood until I was like 11, 12 years old. Is when I found out that the man that I grew up knowing as my dad since a baby was not my father. And him and my mom got a divorce. And not only did that put my mom in turmoil, but that also put me in turmoil. Um, that was something that hit me really hard, being, a young child. So needless to say, that's when my drinking started. My mom always had beer, wine, whiskey, and I would go and sneak it from her here and there. And then it got to the point where I was literally chugging it, going to bed, getting up, pouring it in bottles and taking it to school. I got kicked out of school 4 different times in middle school from drinking alcohol while I was at school and bringing it on the premises. So then when I turned 13, I played basketball and I tore my ACL. That was the first time I was introduced to opiates. And I would take them like I was supposed to. But man, I love the way that it took away my pain of physical, emotional,
That's what I was going to say,
spiritual,
and the mental pain.
all kinds of pain. And I
All
was
pain.
like, well, I was happy. I was happy. It took me out of reality. The fact that my mom and dad had got divorced. I now started moving around. I was still in the same school district, so I was still around, all my friends and stuff. So then, of course, still drinking, still eating the pain pills. It was out of hand, but it wasn't to the point where I was getting in serious trouble. I was just getting in trouble, with school and my mom. And then I kind of slacked off for a little bit. And then when I was 15, I stole my mom's car and took it out joyriding. Went and picked up one of my friends. We started drinking. I ended up wrecking her car. I hurry up and go back home. And this is in the middle of the day. I stayed home from school sick that day. And I had to hurry up and go home. And I called my mom at work and was like, hey, somebody stole your car. It's no longer in the backyard. I don't know where it is. Well, my mom kind of had an idea. So she calls the law. The old man that actually took me and my best friend home, my mom talked to, and of course, ratted us out. Okay. So that was my first little doodad with the law. And it really wasn't enough to scare me. I really just, one ear and out the other. I just living life. Really wasn't too bad until I grew up in North Carolina. I now live in West Virginia. So I got pregnant with my daughter whenever I was 17. I was 18 when I had her. I actually lived in Kentucky for a little while and then moved to West Virginia. And when I got here, I got a full-time job, started working, and got in with a group of people that I worked with, and everybody partied and drank. And I was like, cool, I have an outing because I was living with my mom, was a single parent. And so finally, I started, partying with all these people. And my mom took care of my daughter while I went and worked. I started lying to her, saying that I had to work over, work late, work doubles, and I'm leaving work and I'm going and partying. And I finally make it home. I was already getting away from my responsibilities of being a mother and being a daughter and helping my mom, helping my kid, and it just really progressed from there. I ended up getting married, and everything was fine for a little bit. And needless to say, of course, working for a little while, I hid my addiction and my drinking from my husband. And then it got to the point where I couldn't hide it anymore because I was withdrawing from work, and I would have to call him and be like, hey, I need you to either bring me a drink or I need you to bring me some pills. And
Did he not
when
use like?
no, he did not. Not
So
at
he
that
didn't
time.
even know, like, did he even know at all that you were on drugs and stuff? Like, ain't that it's I've done, and I've done that. Like, I'm not judging. Like, it's crazy when you're on drugs, and then like to be a young woman and you're out dating and you meet someone. Like, how do you tell someone that? Like, how do you say that? How do you say it's hard enough now? Like, even when I met my husband, having to say like, oh, I did that shit in the past, but to sit and say, oh, I'm a heroin addict right now, like, oh, ain't that a
Yeah.
turn on?
And I
Like,
could look at him and been like, hey, like I'm a shitty person. The only person I care about is myself and being able to have a drink and a couple pain pills in my system, because I'm going to go to work just to be able to support my habit, not to pay bills. Like, you're going to have to be responsible for that. And I'm a shitty mom. I don't even take care of my kid. Like I hid it, or I tried to hide it so well. And I did for a little while, until I had to make that phone call and was like, listen, I'm literally at work and I'm sick and this is what I need. And he was like, what's going on? And so that was my first of having to admit, listen, I got a problem, but I'm surviving. You know what I mean? I'm a functioning addict and alcoholic, and I'm doing the best that I can do. And here it is, like, and you're going to have to help me. And he did.
how did he? I was gonna say, how did he react to that? Like,
He did. He actually helped me. He tried the whole church thing, tried, talking to other people, and it wasn't enough. It made me angry. And then I started trying to hide it more from him. So like, oh, I'm a waitress. So instead of me telling him I made, $100 in tips, I was only telling him I'm making 40 or 50. That way I can, have extra money. And I now got new connections at work that he does not know nothing about. So he's not knowing the secrets behind my closed doors when I wasn't at home.
and tips makes it so easy. That kind of job would have made it so easy, like.
Yes. Yes. Cash on hand. Here you go. Come on. Let's roll. Like, it was awful.
Oh, yeah.
So then it was okay for a little while. And then I had my son. I got pregnant with him, and I talked my husband into joining the military. That way, we had a future for our kids and stuff, and I was going to try to do better. Him not being at home, me trying to raise a baby by myself, that every time that I had seen him, I seen his father, was still just, I was so mentally and emotionally and spiritually broken that I couldn't do it. And I know that I couldn't do it. And I called his mother and was like, I need you to come and get this baby. I can't raise him. And I couldn't. I knew that I could not. And that broke my heart. And it was like, so when she finally come and got him, it was like, all right.
Did you say you called your mom or his mom?
His mom.
His mom. Because your mom wouldn't take your shit, huh? I saw your mom. She looks like she ain't taking your shit. She knows.
She don't, not even a little bit. Like, I didn't talk to my mother for years because of my addiction. My mom, I'll get to that in a minute. She so when she come and got my son, I didn't have my kids, you know what I mean? And it was like my husband was gone. Oh boy, it was off to the races. And it got really, really bad whenever he come home from the military, the fighting, the arguing. And it wasn't even him. It wasn't his fault. It was mine. And I had to realize that after our divorce, and had to make those amends. And, me and him are so good at co-parenting and so good friends now that everything just worked out exactly how it was supposed to. But it took about 15 years to get there.
So you guys are still married or no?
No, we got
Oh, you said
divorced.
co-parents. Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed that part.
Yes, we got divorced, of course, because of my addiction. And then, of course, he started dabbling in it too, but he wasn't half as bad as I was. Or even if he was, he hit it very well too. So, but he wasn't, he was
Hi,
what
Justin.
he needed to
Or
be.
Jim, I'm sorry.
So then, let's see, I've been arrested. Up at that point, I'd been arrested 2 or 3 times, and just little 6 months here, 3 months here, 3 months there,
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Keep it up. Sorry, someone said they were
So
10 years sober. Does that deserve a shout out? I thought. I'm sorry. I don't mean to
yes,
interrupt. Yes.
congratulations.
Yes.
Yes,
No looking back. Absolutely.
that's right. So in the my biggest arrest, when I went to court, they, of course, were getting ready to terminate my rights, or I had to relinquish my rights. And I knew in my heart I couldn't do it. I couldn't be a mother. I hadn't been a mother in years. Like, there's no way that I could even try to fight for my kids. And it was like my addiction was more important to me than my kids at that point in time. And that was so hard to have to deal with. You know what I mean? But that's where I was. Sorry, I'm not trying to get emotional, but
No, hey, it happens, man. We did some
yeah,
shit that, just because we can talk about it and that we're trying to move on from it doesn't mean that, we don't still feel it and that, like I'm sure the feelings I can tell, I can see that they're very real for you.
yeah, because if I would not have been engulfed by the grips of my addictions, I would not have done the actions that I did. I wouldn't have just, I mean, I couldn't fight for my kids, let alone fight for myself. Um, so I relinquished my rights and I requested that the courts let my kids stay where they were. My mom had my daughter, my ex-mother-in-law had my son, and I knew both of them would be okay. And the courts granted me that on the conditions I was never allowed to talk to them. I was never allowed to see them. If I seen them in a store, I had to be the one to turn around and walk away. And if I didn't, they could potentially press charges on me, and I could go back to jail. And it was a lot, and I agreed to that because at that point in time, my kids were so much better off without me in their life because of how bad of an influence that I was, and I was no good for them, let alone for myself. So I went to prison, stayed clean and sober in prison, got out on probation. I done good for a while, but I wasn't working a recovery program. I was just abstinent from drugs and alcohol. And I was a miserable, miserable bitch. Like, I was off. Sorry about my language. Sorry
Nope,
if
you're
I
good.
offend anybody.
You're good. Nope.
I was awful. I was freaking awful. I hated my skin that I was in every day. And that lasted, I don't know, less than 30 days. And it was like, I know how to get rid of this pain. And I went right back to drinking and drugging. And so finally, I got in trouble on probation, of course, fell on a drug test, coming in there smelling like alcohol. And they put me back in jail for a 30-day shocker, got out, did it again 3 more times after that. And they finally let me just kind of get away with it, 30 days here, 60 days here. My last one was 90 days. And then by the time I got out and a year had passed, you know what I mean? So they finally released me off of probation. And sorry, my dog is like trying to just drive me
you're
crazy.
fine. I want to real quick. I just want to say something about that. Ain't it crazy how and I know that there's nothing that they can you're on probation, you're failing drug tests, you've just clearly, you've violated how many times been in and out of jail, and just because your time's up as your probation officer, they're like, okay, bye. I know you're struggling, I know that you're, you need help, but because you're off, and I know it's not the probation officer's fault, I know it's the system, blah blah blah. I'm not blaming anybody, but ain't that crazy? How you can say they can be like, oh, I know that you need help, but bye.
Like, it goes right back to, if I would have known about the resources through my probation officer and stuff, my first time doing an actual jail bid, you know what I mean? Like, and actually having to go to prison. If I would have known about the resources that could have been available to me then about rehabs or, you know, an outreach center or anything like that, I probably would have tried it for the first time then. You know, I wouldn't have continued to just keep going and going, but nobody spoke up about it. It was still a hush hush thing. It
Yep.
wasn't, you know, it was still in the shadows. And
How old are you? Are you in your 30s?
I'm 38. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. See, me too. And I think the same thing, like when I was in my addiction, you know, way back when, recovery, I meant, was not the vibe. The recovery is the vibe now, guys. I don't know if anybody knows,
Yes.
but yes. So yeah, woo, woo. So yeah, recovery is the vibe now. Like everybody is, you know, not everybody, but a lot of people like recovery is on the uprise. People are because there's information, and I wholeheartedly believe that because it's out. Because I didn't even know that like treatment was a thing. I didn't know people like recovered from drug addiction. I thought like, you know, once an addict, always an addict, and
Yeah.
you know, and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's just I'm
Yeah.
I'm happy
And
today that
AA and NA meetings was like this image in my head about a whole bunch of weirdos sitting in a group, you know what I mean? And I just, no, that wasn't for me. I wasn't going.
strangers, like I don't need help
Yeah,
from
no.
strangers. Come on, man. Like, no, yeah. And now I'm so grateful today for the recovery community. I've said it over and over and over again, like, you know, people that I don't even know, you know, they go out of their way to just to share my content or to drop comments or just to, you know, there's very supportive. Anybody that I've reached out to be a guest on the show, like people are, you know, more than happy always to help out. Like the recovery community is great. But at that time
Yeah.
in my life, I wouldn't have. Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's what's my point is that it wasn't wide known. Like I didn't even know that there was a recovery community. Like there was a whole community of people, like massive amounts of people worldwide going through what I went through and like recovering from it. And like I didn't even know that. I really didn't know that was a thing. And it sounds stupid to say out loud, but like, you know, I didn't.
That's facts. I mean, me sitting here telling my story. I know I'm not special. I know I'm not the only one that went through this. You know what I mean? That went through a broken system. You know what I mean? Gave their kids up. You know what I mean? And trying to and just it's. I get so just. I
Thank you, Kelly.
This should have been available for years and years, and I'm so grateful that the communities that are in the recovery network are there. And I mean, there's still times to where, like, if I can't get a meeting, I'll hit on a Zoom meeting. I've
Yep.
called the hotline because I can't get a hold of my therapist and be like, listen, I just need somebody to vent to and hear me out and tell me that I'm not crazy. And just kind of talk me down for a minute because, like, my anxiety's through the roof. My kids are stressing me out. I'm still learning how to adult. I'm still learning how to be a parent. Like, it's so much. I mean, I'm going on. July will make 4 years that I've been into recovery. No drinks, no drugs, no kind of mind altering substances. Yeah, man, and I get so overwhelmed every time that I get to an anniversary because it's like, man, why am I still here? How come my addictions never took me out? You know, like, and all my family, my friends, and people that I've lost along the way, like, my heart breaks still for them, and it's, you know, I can't be Captain Sabaho and go out here and drag somebody that is one of my good friends that is struggling right now and drag them to a meeting or try to help them, because you ultimately cannot help somebody that will not help themselves. And if
No.
they do not have that desire, even a little bit of a desire, they're not going to want to quit.
Right.
And you know, people have to get to that breaking point of having a desire to be like, that's enough. And when they get there, call me, let's go. I'll
Right.
do anything I can.
But until they get there, you know, like you said, we cannot stress. And I know it sounds heartless, but we have to be selfish in our. We have to. And I know you said that like you wonder, you know, why you're still here and that your addiction didn't take you out. And I get it. I think everybody has them, especially if you've lost people close to you. You're like, why them and not me? And I get that. But I am glad that you're still here and God has a plan for you, and that's why you're here. You know what I mean? Like you are here so you can, you know, so you can do things. Maybe whatever. I know you're an inspiration to your daughter. You know, you're doing big things, working for the city, driving the cop cars around. Like, you know, you have a purpose, even though if we can't see it yet, like you do. And I'm glad that you're still here. Like you've been beneficial and helpful in just in my life already. So I'm grateful. And we do have a purpose. I know sometimes like we feel that way, especially like I said, if I've lost people very close to me and I'm like, God, you know, why them and not me? Better people than me in my eyes, you know, but God, we have to trust in God, and it's hard, easier said than done. I know, but I'm glad you're here, and you know, you have a purpose. I know your daughter's glad.
Yes, she like, and that's a touchy subject for me. You know what I mean? Like so throughout my addictions, of course, my mom had custody of her, and she. I'm not going to go into full detail, but some really, really bad, shitty stuff happened to her, and ooh, it just. I gave her the option. You know what I mean? Like, I at that time was not about going to the cops. I wasn't about the right thing, but here's your options. Like, I'm going to let you make a decision. Either we're going to handle it my way, or we're going to call the cops. And she was like, Mom, I don't want to do it. I can't. And I asked her, so fine, what do you want to do? She was like, to be honest, I want to get high. And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I get that pain. I understood exactly where she was coming from. And it was like, I completely enabled her. Absolutely. If that's what you want to do to get rid of that pain, and that's what, because I don't know how to help her in that situation, because that didn't happen to me. And it hurt me just as much, as not more than it did her. And it was like, okay. And I enabled her. I allowed her to get high. And that was not the right thing. But at that moment in time in my life, for me, that was the right thing to do. So, you know, she went down a really bad road for a couple years, and she's got longer clean time than what I do. She's got 4 years going on 5, you know, and I'm super freaking proud of her. Like, she's finally learning how to be an adult. She's 19 years old. She just got her own place with her and her boyfriend. She's got her first job.
Yay.
You know, yeah, it's wonderful. And when she has those bad days and she reaches out to me, like, we can work through these things together, because I work my program, and because of that, it helps give me the knowledge to be able to help the next person, whether it be my daughter or anybody. And it's the knowledge that this program has allowed me to have is where I need to be. Because, you know, sometimes I find myself getting complacent, and that's not a good place for me at all. Because then life, boom, hits me, and here I am. So, you know, after I got out of, so I told you the other day about my mom. So I was on federal probation. But before that, like, because of my addiction, I was kidnapped, I was drugged, I was beaten, I was left on the side of the road for dead twice. The cops picked me up, threw me in jail, and that was my higher power saving me. And I know 100% like that was him intervening and putting me in a place to where I did not know nobody. I was out of state. I was completely away from everybody. And I had that spiritual awakening of, like, I literally just was laying dead almost on the side of the road because of my addictions. And, like, I prayed and asked God to save me and to help me. And next thing I know, I'm in the back of a police cruiser. And that was God intervening in my life. And I know He was.
He don't save us like how we want to be saved. We're like, you know, magically take the dope sick away and stuff. And like, you know, come on, that's not like, you know, I've prayed that prayer. I don't know how many times, just please don't, you know, let me not be sick. But like, that's not how it works. But He does intervene. Like, He shows up and He's on time, you know?
Yep. And the gel, of course, you know, gives you medicine so you don't detox and freak out and, you know, wig out on anybody, you know, and that's what helped me get, you know, clean and sober again. And, you know, I started going to church and Bible studies, anything to get me out of the pod, because I can't just, you know, anything to get up the hallway. Let's go.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I got out and I was on federal probation, and I was clean and sober for 27 months, and I got into a relationship. And I had not been in a relationship since I got divorced, right? So it had been like 5-6 years, no relationship, a couple little flings here and there, booty calls, don't bring a toothbrush, you ain't staying all night, get out, you know what I mean? Whatever. So I get into this relationship, and this person used, and I knew that he used, but he treated me so good. You know what I mean? And I was like, we can deal with this. Don't bring it around me. Don't do it around me. You know what I mean? Don't bring it in our home. And that was the rules. Well, he started treating me really bad after about 3 months.
Oh.
And I was like, we're not doing this. You know what I mean? Like, you've heard these stories about this person that I was when I'm out here drinking and drugging. Like, you're going to push me to that point where you're hurting me so bad inside that I can't take this pain. And he did. And he put his hands on me. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting high. Because now you're about to, because I don't have a backbone. I had no backbone whatsoever without drinking and drugging. Like, I was the weakest person mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, anybody could run over me, take advantage of me. I mean, I was nothing. And that's all it took was when he put his hands on me, I was right back out the street and was getting high. And next thing you know, I'm in a parking lot that has apartments in it at 3:00 in the morning, singing "I'm a Dog Too" at the top of my lungs with my car stereo as loud as it'll go, calling him everything but white. It was awful, you know what I mean? And the cops got called. My probation officer got called. And, the feds don't play. He pulled up and was like, you're pushing your limits. You're about to end up going back to prison. And I'm like, listen, just give me some time. I'm leaving him. I'm not going back. I'm going to move in with my mom. I'm going to go find somewhere to stay until I can get my stuff together and go live with my mom. And he says, okay. So my probation officer was cool for a little bit. I leave. And instead of going to my mom's, I go to my girlfriend's house, and knowing that I could still get high. That's when my mom had broke her neck. And it was,
You broke her
dude, it was
neck?
so awful. Yeah, remember the other day I told you, so she had a cyst on her spinal column, and when she sneezed at work, it erupted. And when it erupted, it broke 5 or 6 vertebrae in her neck.
I didn't hear that it broke bones. Oh my God.
Yeah, her head is literally held on her shoulders with rods and screws.
Holy cow.
Yeah, she was hospitalized. She was life flighted, and and instead of trying to be clean and sober and do the right thing and try to be there for my mom, I was feeling all that pain of like, okay, Dixie, Dixie, hey, get in here. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So
My kids run around.
Instead of trying to I kept telling my probation officer, like, my mom needs me, I need to be here, and I wasn't. I went and seen her at the hospital twice. And man, to see my mother in that situation and be completely lifeless and not being able to do anything but talk, man, and my mom has been an independent woman my entire life. She's always worked hard. She's always, done everything herself, to that point. Like, wow, that was
at when that
devastating.
happened? Like, was she around people? Like,
Yeah, she was actually at work when it happened. And
lucky for that, I think,
oh God, yeah. So I knew I needed to make a change, and I needed to do it immediately. But of course, at that time, I still didn't know how to. And I talked to my probation officer about it, and he was like, I'll tell you what. He's like, if you want to change, I'll tell you about a rehab, but you got to do all the paperwork. You got to do all the footwork. You got to get in yourself. I'm not helping you. And I was like, okay. And I did it all. And when they called me and told me my bed was available and I needed to be there, like 2 days later, I was like, oh my God, I can't come right now. Like, my mom needs me here with her. And like, I wasn't even there with my mom. I was not even, I was 2 hours away from her, you know,
Sounded
like,
good though, yeah.
yeah, I was still trying to use that excuse. And it was like, I, but deep down, like I was not going to be at any help to her. And there was no family to help her, you know what I mean? Besides her
Did
sister,
they
like,
believe you? Did they let you wait?
no,
Oh,
nope.
good.
And if I didn't go, then I was going to lose my spot. And, so when I got the call, I did finally make it to my mom's house, and I told my mom, what I was getting ready to do, and I was going to stay with her until I had to leave. Um, so the week that I was getting ready to go, she had actually started walking. Like she could, you know, she couldn't stand up on her own, but she could walk a little bit. You know, she had walkers and utensils or whatever, you know what I mean, to be able to help her move around a little bit, and wheelchairs and stuff. And so I stayed with her, and she ends up helping get me to 3 hours away to my rehab center. And this program was not no joke. I mean, they broke me down to my core. There was many times that I wanted to leave. I would much rather have went to jail for 30 years than have to deal with this program and the mental exhaustion. I never had a therapist. I never had a recovery coach. Didn't even know them kind of people even existed. Um, I couldn't have any phone calls for the first 7 days. I had to have a approved call list. You know, it was just so much because it was like, man, I wanted to call this person and call that. It was just mentally exhausting. And then I started going to these classes about, you know, self-worth and like the voids that what was going on deeper within inside of me. And something started clicking. The pain I was able to share with 20 other females that were going through the same kind of changes that I was working on as well. And it was okay for me to be vulnerable. I cried for the first 6 months. Every single day I cried. It was so bad I become known as the crybaby. You know what I mean? I had not felt emotions of any kind for almost 20 years. And it was
And then
like,
bam, here they are. Good, bad, ugly, all the stuff, man.
oh, yes. And it was like, man, I just realized I had not seen or talked to my kids or even asked about my children in almost 8 years. I I couldn't tell you nothing about them. And man, the guilt, the shame, just ate me alive. And I started finally working towards that, and had to pick up the phone and make that first uncomfortable conversation with both my mother and my ex-mother-in-law about my children. And before they would even allow me to ask about my children, I had to make that consistent phone call once a week, every week, for 2 months before I was even allowed to ask about my children, to start that consistency thing, to be held accountable, and just kind of see where everything was going. And um, and you know, it just, I finally got through it. I was there for a year. You know, that's, dude, 3 days, 60 days, none of them rehabs would have even put icing on all the stuff and all the years of the stuff that I had dealt with. And I lost almost 10 years of my life. I couldn't even tell you what I did for 10 years of my life. Like, I was that screwed up. I couldn't tell you where I lived. I didn't have a home, I know, for a little while. I was stealing food off my grandma's front porch. You know what I mean? Like, just craziness. And so I finally left rehab after a year, and I come home to the same environment that I got in all my trouble, all my arrests, all the cops know me. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to make it. And my probation officer told me, he said, Trinity, it's not where you live, it's how you live. You can find recovery anywhere you go. You can find drugs anywhere you go. You can go to the store right down the road and go get some alcohol if you want. He said it depends on how bad you want it. And he had a good point, and it was like, man, I've made it a year. I don't want to go back. I'm going to start building a life that I no longer have to escape from, and that's what I started doing whenever I come home.
That's really amazing. Like I myself, I moved 3 hours away from because I couldn't do it. People play like, but my family, like in my household, used those. So like I think that may be a little different because that's like I understand like you have your mom and and stuff at home where you have like a safe environment. But like I came home to that, so I think that's a little different. But like kudos to you though, still because like even when I would go visit my mom and them and stuff, like it's tough for me just to see people and places and all this stuff, like, and I've been clean for almost 8 years. Like I really don't have that much triggers anymore, but it's thank you. But it's still just a little tough sometimes, to see that stuff and just, and you never know, catch somebody on a bad day and you never know what could turn into a trigger.
Yes. Yeah, after I'd come home, so literally across the street from where I lived at, there's a little convenience store, and I went over there every single day. Sometimes I went over there like 2 or 3 times a day, and I made a point to talk to the general manager, which was actually a dude that I used to use with. It was his mom, and like he's clean and sober, lives far away now, but and she kept asking me like how I was doing, and I was like, listen, like I'm not going to be doing good if I don't have a job. I need some security in my
Sure.
life. I need some
Yeah.
direction. I got to get a schedule. You know what I mean? I was used to a schedule for a year, and now I'm coming home and now I'm like this. I don't know what to do with myself.
And that's dangerous.
It is very dangerous. And she's like, you know what? She's like, I'll give you a chance. And she put me to work, and I worked every single day. I worked doubles, and there was a couple times, like in between having my oldest and my youngest, I had a child, and I gave her up for adoption. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't, I just couldn't. You know what I mean? And that child ended up coming into the store, and I seen her, and she kept watching me and looking at me, and I was like, man, I can't deal with this. And one of my friends that I worked with was like, Trinity, just talk to her. And so I did. And so when I finally started talking to her, she didn't know who I was. I actually knew we had contact for a little while when she was younger, until her parents found out how bad I was in my addiction, and they completely cut off all ties from me too. So I don't
Did you
blame
know
them.
the people that adopted her? Or no.
Yes,
Oh, you
yes.
did. Okay.
They were actually part of like distant family. So yeah, and our where I live, it's small little itty bitty town. Everybody knows everybody. Um, so when I seen her and talked to her, um, I completely broke down, and I was like, I need to go home. And my manager, this woman, become like a second mother to me, and she was like, oh, you just want me to just let you go home and just wallow in your self-pity, and God only knows what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, no. You're going to go outside. You're going to take you a 15-minute smoke break. You're going to put your big girl pants on, and you're going to bring your ass back in here and go back to work.
Woo! Good job for her.
Dude, I
Like,
was so grateful. I was so grateful for that, because if
yeah.
I would have went home, I don't know, because I was so emotionally distraught. Dude, I don't know where I would have been.
My
I would have,
emotions are the dangerous thing for me. Like I
yeah,
triggers, dude. I could see whatever syringes, whatever foil. None of that really bothers me that much. But my emotions, guys. Like if I get upset, and how dare somebody, the nerve. If somebody can hurt me, like my feelings, oh God, that's it's bad. Because then I'm upset that I let somebody, that somebody could hurt me. Like I don't know, but I'm learning not to be so so like that. But my emotions are terrible for me. So like, yeah, she could have like definitely probably saved your life, especially being
yeah.
clean for that long. Like who knows what could have happened.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know I called her one time. Like I my son was finally able to come and stay with me for like an hour on a weekend, and then it went to, just all the things of being consistent where I am today compared to where I was, right? And I remember one time I was so upset, like I was so gratefully upset, but I didn't know how to handle those emotions. And I was like, man, dude, I want to celebrate, and I'm ugly crying right now. And I'm like, man, I just think I could have one drink, and knowing that that's not going to be enough. You know what I mean? And alcohol, I'm an alcoholic before I'm an addict. And I was like, I call her and I was like, this is what I need from you right now. And she was like, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm not okay. I think I'm about to strip down butt naked. I'm going to put my keys to my vehicle outside of my door right now. And I was like, I need you to come and get them immediately. So I have no reason to try to even go anywhere. I don't have my keys, so I can't go nowhere. And I was like, and I need you to come and get them. And she come and got my keys. She knocked on my door, and I opened the door a little bit because I'm literally butt naked because I'm like, I'm not going anywhere if I'm naked. You know what
Right.
I mean? I'm locking myself in my house. As crazy as that
I was
sounds, you know what I
confused
mean?
why you were naked. Okay, I get it now. Like I was like,
Yeah,
why are we getting naked? Like, okay, but I'm with you now.
yeah, because I was like, you know what I mean? It's cold outside. It's middle of winter. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I just feel like I need to not be in my clothes. I don't want to go anywhere. She's coming to get my keys. So she knocks on my door, and I open up the door, and she's like, what are you doing? And like, I'm sitting there crying, and I'm telling her what's going on, you know, with my kid. Dixie, quit. And she was like, do you need me to come in and talk to you? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm so happy and I'm so overwhelmed. I was like, and I'm so blessed. And I was like, and I use drinking for every single aspect of my life. Like, how do I get away from that? And I was like, this is the first time that like I can celebrate something. I'm happy, and all these emotions are flowing through me, but that's what I want to do. And I know that I can't, but I want to so freaking bad. And she was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. She's like, go get some clothes on. She was like, and then walk outside. I was like, okay. So I go get clothes on, get my hoodie, my boots, and I walk outside. She puts me in the vehicle with her, and she just takes me for a drive, and just listening to me about everything, and her knowing that this is where I'm at, and she supported me. Like, she had a son that was where I was at and is now clean and sober. So she's already went through this whole process with her own child. You know, these are things and emotions that I could not explain to my mother because my mom didn't understand. You know, my mom is not one of us. She can drink and put it down. You know, like that's her. I can't do that. And she doesn't understand. She didn't understand. She does now. Um, there's so much that I couldn't talk to my mother about because I didn't think that she would understand my thought process, where I was coming from. And it was like, you know, this woman that I worked with at the store that become a second mom, you know, her and my mom finally got on the same page, and she got to help my mom in order to help me. And it's
That's
just, it's
really
the
cool.
change.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but that is so cool. Hi, Hendrix. That is so cool that like she was able to like, and that's such a unique situation. And that like with her, like she could go to your mom and say, look, as a mother, like I know what you're going through. Like I really actually do. And you know,
Yeah.
here's maybe how I got through it or like whatever, or just being there for her. But like good, like that sounds like an amazing person to have in your corner. And you're super lucky to have somebody like that.
I got goosebumps. Like she really is. And like she's helped me so much, you
And
know,
just
her and her
somebody
husband
that
both.
you like your boss, like, not she didn't have to do that, you know what I mean? Like, she didn't have to be there
Yeah,
for you, like, that's awesome, man.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, in the beginning, she was my boss. And like, dude, this woman was hardcore. Like, if you were screwing up, if you wasn't there on time, like I've seen her freak out on some of our employees. You know, I mean, it's a tiny little store. There was only like 6 of us that worked there to begin with, you know, and like she played hardball. And the biggest thing was like I didn't realize, I knew that she was a mother of a recovering addict, you know what I mean? And like she wouldn't let certain people come in the store. She wouldn't have the riffraff in the parking lot. Like if she seen a deal going down outside, then she'd come right out there and run them off. She did
I
not
love
care
it.
who it was.
I'm just
Um,
picturing her, like, with that like
Dude, she's hardcore. A baseball bat. No
No, oh,
shotgun, but a
baseball bat.
baseball bat. She had a baseball bat by the front door.
You said,
Um, like she's crazy, man, but she supported anybody, you know what I mean? And if anybody needed help, she was there. And it's just and she's still that way, you know what I mean? Like she's helped change my life around along with all of my recovery community, and all the friends that I've met along the way. So 3 years, going into 3 years, right before my third year celebration, the store had actually closed down, and I was in turmoil. You know what I mean? This job that I'd worked for a year and a half, day in, day out, working doubles, went in on my days off. I had nothing else to do. I was going to work. I became a
threw yourself
workaholic.
into
And
work.
I loved
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And they sold the store, and dude, that broke my heart. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with myself? Ain't nobody in this town
And
going to
I
hire
know,
me.
I know, like, for myself, when in my early recovery, I did the same thing. I threw myself into work and just that's all I did. And then, like, so I could not imagine, like, losing your job at that point. Like, you probably felt like, oh God, like, so fragile. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whether you
And
were or not, like, I'm sure but yeah, I'm sure you felt that. I would have
I
felt that way.
was. I was so tore up, and I was like, what am I going to do? And the new owners took over, and they promised me my job, and now I'm always a happy person. I'm always happy go lucky. I always have a smile on my face. I always try to see the bright side of stuff. My cup is always half full. It's never half empty. I've changed my perspective on life completely. And the woman that took over said that she was not releasing anybody, that everybody still had their jobs. But they were closing the store down for a week. So I was like, oh, okay, like I'm going to North Carolina. I'm going home. I'm going to go visit everybody for a week vacation. I owe it to myself. And while I'm down there, the owner calls me and she was like, I hate to inform you, but we're going to let you go. And I'm like, bitch, what? What?
Why?
Why? You owe me an explanation why. And she's like, because I need somebody that gets along with my whole team. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that I didn't get along with your whole team. I said, but I have a good feeling of where that could come from, because the two girls that worked in the kitchen was very jealous and insecure because of me. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to every single customer. Yes, sometimes I flirt, especially if
Well,
it helps me get some tips. Boo boo, I'm single and I'm a single parent and I'm trying to pay off my own place. Like, let me be me, but don't be jealous. But that's whatever. It's somebody else's business.
I hate when people and women do it a lot as women, and I've been guilty of it myself, but trying to tear people down when you're jealous of them or when
Yes.
you see them doing good, like haters, and we shouldn't do that. And like I said, I'm guilty of it in my past, but like, come on, man,
Yes.
like we need to support each other.
Yes. So my brother, I love my big brother. He's the only man left in our family. All the other males have all passed away. My brother's helped teach me a lot. I do not take my vehicle to any kind of mechanic. I'm a mechanic myself. I fix everything myself. Because I'd rather be mad at myself if I break something instead of somebody else. I don't like being mad for any reason. But anyways, so my brother talks me into going to get my CDLs, and I went and got my CDLs, and I was like, nobody's going to hire me fresh out of school. And I actually found a little company that did. They gave me my first break, and I was over the road for like 7-8 months. I freaking loved it. I love the money. And I had a friend here back home, and his name is Cody, and I kept up with him, on Snapchat and stuff, because he was clean and sober and he was living his life right. He was doing so good, and I was super proud of him because I've known him for a really long time. Just never really hung out with him. He was always younger than me, only by 5 years, and he didn't know what was going on in my personal life. And like, my kids were coming back around a little bit, but still wasn't back with me full time. I had an extra bedroom, and I told him, I was like, you know what? Go get my Jeep, go get your stuff, move into my house. All I ask is one, you pay half of the utilities, you know what I mean? Like I'll pay the lot rent, I'll pay everything else. But go move in. You will have your own bedroom. He was sleeping on somebody's couch that was still using.
Mm.
And everybody knows if you sit in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get your hair cut. And I did not want to see this happen to this dude because he was a good freaking dude and he was trying to do right. And and he went and got my Jeep, got his stuff, moved in. And I was like, and listen, and furthermore, I was like, I'm never home. I was like, so my bedroom has an air conditioner unit in the window. It's in the middle of summer, so if I'm not there, go sleep in my room. Like I could care less, you know. And he was like, okay. And he asked me, he was like, why would you help me? And that broke my heart. You know what I mean? Like it broke my heart. Like, why would I not help you? Like, dude, you're doing everything right. And I would not be where I am
But
right
you
now if
deserve
people
it.
wouldn't have helped
Yeah.
me along the way. And so needless to say, we become roommates. And then I drug him to, well, he had the option to go or not. I drug him to a AA convention 4 hours away to see, you know, first road trip together, first time actually hanging out together to kind of see how everything went. And we had such a wonderful time. We ended up coming home and we were roommates with benefits for a little while. And he had some motives going on that I did not know about, but my kids did, my mother did, right? And like, he's whatever. So he wouldn't even ask me to be his girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like we went out on dates all the time and it was just what it was, right? And I come home and my mom's birthday is July 8th. So July 7th, I was like, I'm probably going back out of town. I was like, let's run and go get her some stuff from the dollar store. Let's get her a card. We'll stop and get her something to drink and take it to her. And he was like, okay, cool. So I go to my mom's just like I normally do. And she was like, oh, hey, come in my closet. I got something to show you. I got to show you a shirt I got. I was like, okay. So I go in there and like any other time, she's like, oh man, I totally forgot which one it was. And I was like, don't even worry about it, Mom. It's okay. This is normal for her. Right. So I didn't think nothing of it. I come out of there and this man is literally down on one knee with a ring
Oh, I love
and
it.
asked me to marry him. And he was like, I don't care if it's today or tomorrow, but will you please marry me one day? And I was like, yes.
Oh
I
my
didn't
God,
hesitate.
yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and this man is the most gentle spirit that I've ever met in my life. And he doesn't try to control me. He allows me to be who I am inside and out. We just bought a house together, you know what I mean? And like how much our lives have grown in 4 months is completely crazy to me. I'm still getting used to one, being a responsible adult. You know what I mean? I finally got my job here at the city, to where I work Monday through Friday. I'm home with my kids every day. I'm home on the weekends. I am on call on the weekends because I do have my CDL, and only one other person that is employed there has theirs. So we alternate weekends. Um, but how grateful I am, and I still find myself overwhelmed at times because it's so many changes mentally, physically, spiritually, um you know, living like it's so much changes every single day that there is times to where I'm still not okay. I can look at my old man and tell him, hey, this is where I'm at, you know. And I'm still learning how to love myself, and this man loves me unconditionally, broken, good days, bad days, freaking out days, days to where I just want to sleep in bed for 16, 20 hours, you know. And he just lets me be because he knows that I'm still learning how to put principles before personalities. And my biggest thing, and everybody that's listening and watching, I want you to listen to this. This is my favorite saying, and it goes so far. Expectations are premeditated resentments, and resentments can lead back to relapses. And if you are not communicating with anybody in your life and you have mental expectations of anybody in your life and they don't meet those expectations, you're ultimately letting yourself down and putting yourself in a situation that nobody even knows anything about, because you're having silent expectations of what this person should be doing or how they should act or react to something. And if you do not let those expectations be verbal and be out loud, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And I still find myself doing that. And, I get thinking I have expectations of him to do this and to do that. And then when he doesn't, I get mad, and then he wants to know why I'm mad. And it's like, okay, let me back up here. I have to be verbal about my expectations and the things that I either want or
communicate. Yeah.
Communicate. If you do not communicate, like you can't fix anything. You're not going to grow. You got to have those uncomfortable conversations. It doesn't matter how bad they are uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you're growing and you're putting your feelings and thoughts, out there in the open, and you're learning how to process everything, not only with yourself, but with another human being. And you have to be able to do that.
Absolutely. I hate to cut you off, but you were super nervous, but we have talked for over an hour. So,
I can do that, girl.
Yeah. And so I hope that you come back again and share more, more of your story and talk some more about different things. Because I know especially at the beginning you were pretty nervous, but we had a great time. I thought it was a great episode. We are getting ready. Anybody that is watching, me and James are getting ready to do a live on TikTok, like right now at 3:20. So, yeah. So Trinity, I hope you're there if you have time. If not, I'll see you next time. But definitely come back on the show to share the rest of your story. We'll figure that out. I'll message you later to figure out all the details. But thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Go, guys, everybody. I'll be right back on TikTok at 3:20.
Bye.
I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn bad. Gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything in front of me, might smoke bed heavy, got a whole agenda.